Welcome, everybody, to Ridiculously Raw, the most must-see show on YouTube and StreamYard.com. Happy Royal Rumble week, friends. I am your host, Anthony Florio. I am joined tonight by good MF Michael Fletcher. Unfortunately, we will not be joined this evening by the Twisted Angel and First Lady of the Wrestling Forum, Dee Dee Woodson. She messaged us saying that she was not going to be on the show tonight. Not sure the reasoning. But what we do know is Michael Bullock will also not be with us. But Michael Bullock is not doing this show tonight because, well, let's be realistic. This show was a damn dumpster. But the only reason why we're doing this show, because of the fact that this is Royal Rumble week, and it was per the tradition that our old friend Derek Ferreira started, and we decided to uphold that tradition. So, needless to say, this is probably not going to be the longest of shows, but we'll only address what we feel is relevant. I mean, I'll run everything down, and MF, if there's anything that you feel we need to get into and we need to address, feel free to interrupt and let me know. So with all that being said, tonight, Monday Night Raw, the final Monday Night Raw before the Royal Rumble from Tropicana Field, St. Petersburg, Florida, the WWE Thunderdome. And we started it off, well, the return of the WWE Champion, Drew McIntyre, his first appearance since the Legends Night. He had been out the last 2 weeks because, as you know, he did test positive for COVID and had to miss the show. And then he was interrupted by The Miz and John Morrison. And then eventually Bill Goldberg came out and they had their face-to-face. And, let me find this. There is a lot to be said about WWE turning to another star of yesteryear to bolster one of its pay-per-view main events. But in terms of putting the final sell on Goldberg versus McIntyre, this worked extremely well. And that is because the company's creative team didn't overthink things. Goldberg is a badass. McIntyre is a badass. This had a badass stare down and let the visuals speak volumes. On top of it all, WWE Creative planted the seeds for Miz to cash in Money in the Bank in a moment that would throw WrestleMania prognostications into an uproar. Hot start to the show. So, MF, is this something that you feel needs to be addressed here or what?
Absolutely. This is your main event for the Royal Rumble. Yeah, I think it was excellently done, and I think it was really good to say the very least. So yeah, I thought it was a solid opening. I thought it was a solid show. It was worth the time. It was worth the time. I think this was really good, really solid. I liked it. There's really nothing more to say. So Anthony, it's yours.
Now, this is very interesting here, what happened next. We had a scheduled match with Charlotte Flair and Shayna Baszler. Charlotte Flair wins by disqualification in 1 minute because Nia Jax interferes. Then Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke show up. Lacey Evans shows up. And then out of nowhere, we end up having a 6-woman tag team match. And then the face team, Charlotte, Mandy, and Dana, win this match in 4 minutes and 45 seconds via a countout. But then the heel team, was whining and complaining about the countout finish. And Adam Pearce was like, you want to restart the match? So let's restart the match. So in a way, we had almost an impromptu Intercontinental Rules match, almost like it had the feel of a 2 out of 3 falls match, even though it really kind of wasn't, but it was starting to go there. And this time around, the heel team picks up the win. I don't have a time of the fall here. Nia Jax dropped the leg on Dana Brooke and got the win here. So MF, what in the world happened here? I mean, I think this is something we need to address.
Yeah, most definitely. Look, I'm just gonna say it like this. First off, with the match, with Charlotte and Baszler, you would think a lot more better. This is a good match that would have had great quality if the fight would have gone down. Um, at the end of the day, it didn't deliver in the way that we were expecting it. But I kind of feel like it just didn't work. It backfired. So, okay, the match didn't work. So then you had all the combustible elements show up, and you're thinking, all right, let's do a triple threat. You'll get a good match. It was solid the first time around. Now I'm glad that the finish was less to be desired, no doubt. A little bit of a letdown, and then you were like, okay, let's. So they want to do a third round. Let's go round 3, and the heels get the win at that point. So you're like, ugh. But overall, it plays a lot of angles here. One, you got basically 3 teams now that's possibly going to be fighting for the women's tag team titles, especially on the Raw end. 2, there's a lot of Royal Rumble implications when it comes to the women, because by all necessary means here, you got practically 6 women that are all going to be a part of the Women's Rumble match on Sunday night. Charlotte Flair, Dana Brooke, Mandy Rose, then you got Lacey Evans, Nia Jax, I apologize, I got somebody trying to text me, and also Shayna Baszler. So you got all this going on, everything lining up, and it's really getting interesting, guys. I mean, we're talking about what could be a very interesting Women's Royal Rumble, and so we're going to have to wait and see how this plays out. This could be very interesting, and as far as the match goes, yeah, it didn't really deliver in the way that we wanted it to deliver. And, you could easily call this NA, you could say move on, whatever. But I like the fact that this really emphasizes, because one of these 6, honestly, Shayna could win the Royal Rumble, Nia could win the Rumble. Charlotte is the biggest favorite of them all right now. Charlotte is, you could probably pencil her in to possibly win it again. She could be the first back-to-back Royal Rumble winner since, I believe it was Austin, who did it, I believe, in 2002 and 2003.
No.
No, you gotta go.
You are correct.
No.
You are correct. Stone Cold.
1990. Okay, I got it. 1997, 1998.
There you go.
Okay, I'm sorry. I kind of got my, again, somebody's texting me right now. So
I think I might know who that might be.
It's not Bullock either.
Oh, it's not. Well, I'm sorry to interrupt, but Michael Bullock's had a change of heart. He's going to be joining us.
All right.
So he just texted me. So I just sent him the link, and he'll be with us momentarily. So with that being said, MF, go on.
Yeah. So it's just, there's a lot going on. So there's a lot of factors, a lot of key moments here. And yeah, it was good. It was solid. But again, it's more of a storyline progression than anything else. And it also is good that we got this, because this is a story that we can work with heading into the Royal Rumble. This had a lot of Rumble implications more than anything else. So the storyline was good. Florio, it's yours.
Yeah, and just to address, we've never had a back-to-back winner in the Women's Royal Rumble. So, but then again, it's only the 4th women. This will be only the 4th Women's Rumble match coming up Sunday night. But we got Michael Bullock here. Michael Bullock was obviously frustrated with the meh show we had tonight. I certainly don't blame him. It's certainly understandable. But I'm glad he had a change of heart. So Bullock, I want to get you caught up quickly. Not much. The opening segment with Drew McIntyre, Bill Goldberg, and The Miz and Morrison. Minus The Miz and Morrison stuff, the McIntyre Goldberg stuff is pretty good.
Yeah, like you said, minus the Miz and Morrison stuff. I thought the McIntyre and Goldberg were good here. I mean, obviously building towards their WWE title match, and like you said, it was good to see Drew McIntyre back after his bout with COVID, and I kind of like what he said, like that he was dedicating this match to those who have battled COVID, and unfortunately those who died from it. So, well, now that, Florio, is why your man is the frontline soldier of Monday Night Raw. Unlike someone who used to be that, but
he started good,
yeah.
but then he became a Fruit Loop. So
yeah, Fruit Loop. I like how you said that, but
yeah,
I mean, I can't wait to see what goes down. But obviously, we all think Drew's going to retain because we heard the rumors that we think he's going to retain,
and I hope they're true.
And I'm hoping it's true.
They better be true, or else you're gonna have three, counting D.D. Woodson. Then you'll have four angry and pissed off wrestling fans. I'll tell you.
I think you just may have four if that goes down.
And let's not forget the IWC. The IWC is gonna have a damn cow if this happens.
Oh yeah. But anywho, despite the whole Miz and Morrison nonsense, this was good. I mean, McIntyre and Goldberg, obviously. The other two, get the you-know-what out with that nonsense. Move on.
And then, Bullock, we also had the women's. You remember that women's situation, with Charlotte and Shayna Baszler? That got thrown out in a minute. And then we ended up getting 2 6-woman tag team matches for the price of one. One ended in a count out in about 4:45, and then the other match, I don't know how long that ended, but the heel team winning that. So a lot of craziness. And gentlemen, according to the Wikipedia page for the Royal Rumble, it says that Asuka and Charlotte are going to defend the Raw Women's Tag Team titles against Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler in a return match from TLC. That changes some things.
It does change some things in some sense of it, Florio. The question is, I think it really depends where they place this match, because that also will have a factor in everything that comes out when it comes.
I think it'll be before the Women's Royal Rumble match.
Well, but here's the thing that I'm thinking of, guys, and I don't know how you're gonna feel about it. I mean, if you're putting Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler in, I got the feeling Charlotte and Asuka are going over, because I smell a breakup with these two, because we've been seeing this building for weeks.
That's true.
I could basically see this happening at the Royal Rumble.
But the other question that I have is that I've been hearing a lot of rumors of Charlotte possibly winning this Rumble again. And the thing is that what if she decides to go after Asuka? To go after the Raw Women's title?
There's rumors about it.
But after what we saw tonight, that might change everything as well, because what if it's not Charlotte? Who knows? What we might have just seen might be the new favorite going into the Women's Royal Rumble tonight. And you know who I'm talking about. We'll get into her a little bit later. So yeah. I don't know. I mean, there's a lot to decipher here, guys. But definitely. Yeah, I definitely agree with you, Bullock. I could definitely see Nia and Shayna splitting up here. So I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll definitely break more of that down on Friday night when we do our our big preview of the Royal Rumble. But yeah. So so let me address this. Two false finishes, that botched countout. Why WWE decided it was necessary to overbook a match it very easily could have booked from the get-go was a question only it can answer, but the result was a confusing couple of minutes that ultimately gave way to a fun, energetic tag bout that highlighted Nia Jax. It's not surprising that WWE opted to put the emphasis on her either. The Royal Rumble match is one that historically features a dominant competitor at some point. Nia Jax can fill that role, the female equivalent to Big Show and Kane. Would it have meant more if she pinned Flair? Sure, but it served its purpose. But I'm not going to put a rating on this. I don't think we should put a rating on that because, I mean, it's way too tough to call. It's way too tough to rate. So that's really all there is to say on that, guys. So, but now let's get into the other stuff here. We do have cutout stuff, and we're going to address those elephants in the room here. Slapjack of Retribution going up against Xavier Woods. Xavier Woods did win the match in 2 minutes and 45 seconds, but Xavier Woods got the hell beat out of him by Retribution, and then Mustafa Ali cut the promo, got in Woods' face saying that now MF should know about this better than anybody because he brought up one of the great SmackDown Live storylines of 2019, if not the best SmackDown Live storyline of 2019, pre-Fox, that is, when it was still on the USA Network. MF, I don't think I even need to remind you about Kofi Mania. We all remember that now, don't we?
Oh, don't we all? One of the greatest moments of that year.
And now let's set it up. You remember the Elimination Chamber. Mustafa Ali was supposed to be in that match, but MF's boy Randy Orton injured him, and Mustafa Ali could not compete. Who took the spot? Kofi Kingston. And I think we all know how that story ended. Kofi eventually went to WrestleMania. He defeated, at the time, the new Daniel Bryan and became WWE champion in one of the greatest WrestleMania moments in recent years. Mustafa Ali is finally addressing this. And he told Xavier, Kofi is injured. He can't compete in the Rumble. Somebody needs to replace him. I'm replacing him. Any thoughts on this, gentlemen?
It's a devastating blow to lose Kofi Kingston.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Because we all know what Kofi brings to the table. Oh, God.
Handstands, using JBL's chair as a pogo stick.
Getting launched into the Rosebuds. I mean, he went flying into the Rosebuds.
I watched that earlier. I rewatched that Rumble a little earlier tonight. Yes.
I remember we did commentary for that Rumble too.
That's right.
I remember he went like he got pole vaulted into the Rosebuds, man. But
what about that long jump? Or what about the long jump?
Yeah, the long jump. But there's plenty of guys who are big names that are some of the guys who are awesome that we'll get, and I mean it's a darn shame too. Kofi's one of my favorites in the Rumble.
I know. Ali is replacing him.
But the thing is that I hate to say it, he deserves the spot.
Yes, he does.
Mustafa Ali deserves to be in the Royal Rumble, and props to the WWE for making the right decision and letting him finally get in the Rumble.
He was in there 2 years ago.
Yeah, but the thing is that
this character.
Yeah, not this character, not this moment, not this time. And even then, a lot of people kind of felt like, does he really deserve the spot? I thought maybe last year he did, and a lot of people were pushing for Ali. And as a matter of fact, if it wasn't for Ali getting hurt, Ali was actually going to get a major rub. the talk was that Ali was possibly going to be the one that was going to fight Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania. Now, he wasn't going to win the title. Daniel Bryan was going to go over, but Ali was supposed to get a WrestleMania moment. Basically, when that injury occurred, basically what happened was Ali was going to get the monster push. So what was going to happen was when Ali was going to fight at the Elimination Chamber, basically Kofi's run was Ali. Ali was going to go all the way to the end and eventually lose to Daniel Bryan. Now, Bryan was going to go on to fight somebody else for WrestleMania, which I believe it was still going to be Kevin Owens.
Yes.
It was going to be Kevin Owens versus Daniel Bryan at Mania. So you had that storyline going. Ali was probably going to challenge whoever came out of that between Owens and Bryan, and then that was going to be the next storyline for him. But Kofi had a good run. People started getting behind Kofi. Then it was the Kofi, like you said, the Kofi Mania run started, and that ended everything. Basically, Ali's dreams was dashed in one found swoop. So no, without a doubt, it was amazing. And yeah, but the thing is, Ali deserves the spot. And I know there's a couple of people who are Ali fans right now who are very happy to see that he's finally getting a chance in the Royal Rumble.
Definitely.
Yeah, and the thing is, I mean, this is sort of like at WrestleMania. I mean, during WrestleMania season 2 years ago, he was like saying it should have been my moment, not Kofi's moment, but not this time around. No. I'm taking Kofi's spot, and any chances of him repeating that dream is going to be dashed.
Yeah. So I'll say it like this: crap match. Match was crap, of course, but Ali is one of the most engaging and intriguing characters on Raw, and this storyline with New Day is good stuff. Kofi Mania happened at my expense, he exclaimed in his pre-match promo, then sent the former WWE champion a message in an apropos twist of fate. Kingston capitalized on an opportunity presented him as a result of Ali's injury. Now Ali enters the Royal Rumble match as a replacement for the injured Kofi. It's karmic, and while Ali is unlikely to win, it throws gasoline on a fire that should result in some great in-ring work and storyline potential when Kingston returns from injury. So let's keep that in mind. Then from there, we had the VIP lounge, the Hurt Business, and it was interrupted by R-Truth, and then eventually Riddle. Yeah, this was crap. It was fine for what it was, and further hinted at an eventual split between an overzealous, overconfident Cedric Alexander and an increasingly peeved Shelton Benjamin. Beyond that, it was further proof that 3 hours is entirely too long for a wrestling show and leads to the presentation of mostly unnecessary segments, aka filler. Everything about this could have been accomplished in the framework of a match rather than in an entirely separate segment leading to a match featuring the same crop of superstars later in the show, and it overexposes the talent and gives fans with the option of changing the channel if they were not sold on what they had seen out of the performers. So, not much more to say. Let's move on here. But this was definitely good, though. We had Sheamus versus John Morrison, and Sheamus wins the match in 9 minutes and 35 seconds. But then there was a handicap match, which we're not going to address. Sheamus then went up against The Miz and John Morrison in a handicap match. Miz and Morrison wins that match in 6 minutes and 50 seconds. So, Michael Bullock, the Sheamus and Morrison match, that was a fairly decent match.
Yeah, this was a fairly decent match, the singles match. The handicap was bleh. I'll give it about maybe 2.5 stars for the effort here. I mean, a good match all around. So yeah, so there's, and of course, obviously both Sheamus and John Morrison have announced their entry into the Royal Rumble match. So yeah, so there's really nothing more to add. So, Florio, what's yours?
Yeah. 3 stars for the Sheamus and Morrison match. I would probably call it one of the fights of the night. Anyone who remembers the battle Sheamus and Morrison had a decade ago, recall how good, physical, and hard fought they were. This was a nice reminder as the strikes were solid and the chemistry was clearly still there. The only thing hurting the match's ability to garner a higher rating was the lack of time. This felt very much like a match that had a lot more to offer, but fell victim to time constraints. Given how good this was, WWE officials might want to consider a rematch on a grander stage at some point in time. The Miz issued the challenge for a handicap match is, as we have already mentioned earlier, textbook WWE overexposing its talent. That's about 2 stars for that effort. So, but nonetheless, though, MF, I mean, the Sheamus Morrison one-on-one match, that was good. The other match, and not so much.
Yeah, enjoyable, solid battle to say the very least, and I really enjoyed it. I don't think there was anything else that we could talk about. I mean, like you said, the handicap we're just gonna totally bypass. But yeah, Sheamus and Morrison are two good workers. You give them the ample time, you had a solid fight, and other than that, Florio, move on.
All right. Let's see. Then from there, the handicap match. Then we had AJ Styles versus R-Truth. AJ Styles wins the match 2 minutes and 35 seconds. Yeah, we're not going to address that. Then we had the gauntlet match. Riddle having to run the gauntlet against the Hurt Business, and if he did, he would earn a United States Heavyweight Championship match against Bobby Lashley. First up, Riddle against Shelton Benjamin. Riddle wins the match 4 minutes and 50 seconds. Versus MVP, he beats MVP via submission in 7 seconds. Third and final match against Cedric Alexander. He wins it in a total of television time, mind you, 5 minutes and 50 seconds. So total it all together, we're looking at about 10 minutes and 47 seconds total. So, man, let me get out of this here quick here. Try to find this. Okay. I'm gonna have to do a refresh here. Hold on a minute. But I'll tell you what, though. The third match against Cedric, though, that was good stuff. Let me tell you. Truth Styles, Alexis Playground. All right. Riddle and Alexander tore the house down in the final third of this gauntlet match, demonstrating the sort of chemistry that creates genuine excitement for an eventual showdown between them. Everything was smooth, flawless even. They cut an even pace and showcased some strong grappling and counter wrestling until the finish. It is that finish, as well as the mounting dissension within Hurt Business, specifically involving Alexander, that really put this over the top. What started subtly as professional envy on the part of Benjamin has evolved into overconfidence, arrogance even, by Alexander that is costing the Hurt Business the dominance it had enjoyed to that point. MVP's prized edition may be the very piece that brings about the group's unraveling. That thread has helped make for one of the best ongoing stories on the Raw brand. I will give this, as a whole, I'm going to give this about 3.25 to 3.5, mainly because of the final match with Riddle and Alexander, because there was some good action and a couple of good, believable near falls. John Montana on occasion, when it looked like he had counted 3 on a couple of occasions there. That's how close they were. So credit to him. But 3.25 to 3.5. MF, your thoughts on this gauntlet match as a whole? And Riddle gets a U.S. title opportunity.
Yeah, definitely solid match, good battle. Like you said, 3.5 stars is the rating I would give, and mainly because of the final match. The final match of the gauntlet, no doubt about it. You absolutely hit the nail on the head. But it also brings more dissension on the Hurt Business. And you could tell they're falling apart at the seams. If they don't get their act together, they're going to lose all the gold very, very soon. Michael Bullock, it's yours.
Yeah, 3.25 stars for me. I mean, this he said, and it's basically because of that Riddle and Alexander match, and yeah, and we continue to see a dissension amongst the Hurt Business, and especially because of Cedric Alexander's cockiness, his arrogance. But yeah, I mean, there's really nothing more to add to it. So let's move on, Florio.
All right, and then from there, okay. Then we usually don't really get into backstage vignette things, whatever. But in this case, we do have to. It was the rated R superstar Edge, and he cuts a promo, giving us an update on how he's been doing because you remember back last June as part of that quote unquote greatest wrestling match ever with Randy Orton at the Backlash, he suffered a tricep injury and he was expected to miss several months of action. Well, it's been several months. It's been about 7.5 months or so since that match. And Ed talked about, how he had to give up the World Heavyweight Championship the week after WrestleMania 27 and he had to retire in the whole 9 yards. And then, of course, we all remember his epic return at last year's Royal Rumble in Houston at Minute Maid Park. And tomorrow will be the 1-year anniversary of that, by the way. And then it was announced. Edge made the announcement. He's much better. He's been cleared. And gentlemen, Edge has entered the Royal Rumble match. MF, you expressed it. You expressed your early opinion in the Messenger chat, and I know you've got some serious thoughts on this.
I do. Look, Edge made it abundantly clear he wants to win the WWE Championship. This can go a number of ways, but Edge has now solidified himself as a possible favorite to win the Royal Rumble. Do I think he can win it all? It's very possible, but it all depends on the luck of the draw. I think, and I'm going to openly admit this, if he gets number 30, then that might open the door for him to possibly win it all. I'm on the edge about it, and we're gonna have to wait and see how this plays out. Yeah, it's gonna be very interesting, but Edge is definitely a major threat, and that's definitely one that we're gonna have to keep a very watchful and close eye on. There's nothing more to say. Michael Bullock, what a moment! The Rated R Superstar is back, and he's made it very clear he's in to win it at the Royal Rumble.
Yeah, he definitely made it perfectly clear that he wants not only to be that he's in the Royal Rumble match, but he wants to. Well, it was the World Heavyweight Championship at the time, but he wants to get back the championship that he never lost. Because remember, he had to relinquish the World Heavyweight title because of that neck injury that pretty much ended his career. And you bring up a good point, Fletch. I mean, if he gets a late number, especially number 30, he could have a chance to win it. But we'll wait and see. Do I think he's going to win it? I'm on the edge with that one, but that's pretty much all I can say. And Florio, Angry Edge is always a is always good when it comes to his promos.
Angry Edge is always the best Edge. You're absolutely right, Bullock. And he brought that same fire and intensity here. This was the segment of the night, hands down. Edge delivered his typically excellent emotion-filled promo, painting the picture for the audience and letting them know how incredibly important going out on his terms is to him. He reminded us of the obstacles before looking forward, announcing his return in the Rumble and leaving it up to fate, determination, and grit to decide whether he will have the outcome he so desires. The announcement adds another layer to Sunday's pay-per-view and provided that boost in significance to a show that had done a rather so-so job of conveying the importance of the event to the road to WrestleMania. So that's all there is to say on that. And then the main event of the evening, Raw Women's Championship match. The champion Asuka defending against Alexa Bliss. The fight ends in a no contest at 12 and a half minutes. And good old MF Michael Fletcher, you had to be right about this. Randy Orton, disfigured face and all. He had no mask this time. We got to see the burns all over his face. And what did he do? RKO. The three most devastating letters in all of WWE. Michael Bullock, even with this outcome, it was still the fight of the night in our book.
Yeah, it was the fight of the night, but per the here at the Wrestling Forum, because it ended in a no contest, unfortunately, I have to give this an NA. I mean, it was such a really good match until the end, but yeah, we got to see the face of Randy Orton without that mask. We got to see the burns, and he took the fiendish version of Alexa Bliss and RKO'd her and saying, "Now that's what I call payback, bitch." And that is exactly what happened. He got his payback, and he did not give a damn what any of you think of what he did. He said, this is his way of saying, what goes around comes around. You want to burn me? Well, I'm going to RKO your ass, and I'm going to enjoy every single minute of it. So, yeah, so where does this go from here? We'll have to wait and see. So, Florio, it is yours, and like I just said, what goes around comes around.
Oh yeah, and I know MF's gonna have some fun with it when we get to him, but yes, even though this was the fight of the night, this is gonna have to be an NA because it was a no contest. The layout of the match and the theatricality within it is not something everyone will be eager to embrace. Traditional wrestling fans will denounce it, while fans of theatricality will champion what this Alexa Bliss character brings to the table. It creates controversy and debate, something that is rarely bad in wrestling. With that said, there is a very real issue with the way Asuka has been used throughout her title reign. Never the star, always the second most important performer in any storyline she has appeared. She continues to be underutilized and mismanaged by a creative team that has never understood or embraced what Triple H and NXT accomplished with her. She deserves better than that. Nitpick aside, Randy Orton dropping Alexa Bliss with the RKO was the next natural progression in this story. So the show closing angle was fine in that regard. Unless The Fiend returns at the Rumble, this was a curious conclusion to the final episode of Raw before the Royal Rumble. So it's going to have to be an NA, even though it was the fight of the night. But MF, we'll give you credit where credit is due. This is one of your take a bow moments here. I mean, when Bullock messaged us about this match this past weekend, MF said, watch out for Orton. Sure enough, 3 most devastating letters. I'll let you do it.
Take a bow, Fletch.
You know what? The thing was, once I saw her go in, and this was the thing. The match itself was expected like we expected. Good, solid, hard-hitting, everything else. When Alexa actually lost her attitude, when she lost it and went back into her Alexa Bliss, like the original Alexa Bliss, like Florio, the one you remember, the one you were in love with. Not this, I guess you could call her Firefly Alexa, but the Alexa Bliss, the goddess Alexa Bliss. When she got into that, she looked like she was lost. It looked like she looked like like a sad puppy, like she was away from home, didn't know where to go, and I kind of started feeling sorry for her. I'm like, oh my god, she might be a little in over her head. Like I don't think she realizes what's going on. I don't think she knows what she's doing. Oh no, she set us all up, because then she went into fiend mode, and you're like, oh, here we go. It's about to go down. We're about to see a new champion. Well, we thought. But then you saw that silhouette, and I'm like, oh, shit. Well, oh, shoot. It's Randy. Boom! And you saw the head crank, and you saw her flip. And I yelled out, oh, my God. Randy freaking Orton, RKO. And I knew it. I sensed it. I'm like, you had to think that that fireball incident was not gonna was gonna be answered at the opportune time. There was first degree burns. You saw the burn marks on Orton. He did not look good. But that was the sweetest salvation. But nah, Anthony, this might have just triggered the Fiend to show up. The Fiend will most likely show up at the Rumble on Sunday night, because you just took out his girl. You just took out his, I guess, love? I guess we can call her that? And you just planted her right in front of the ring. You planted her right in the center of the ring for the whole world to see. There's no doubt in my mind, the Fiend will be after Orton so hard and everything else. This could end up being one of those moments, and I'm gonna say it. This could end up being like the Mick Foley Randy Orton incident from the Royal Rumble a few years ago, where we could get a double elimination where the Fiend might just lose it on Orton, and they both get eliminated, where the Fiend eliminates himself out of the Royal Rumble just to get his hands on the Viper because of what he just did to Alexa tonight. So no, there's no doubt in my mind. This was fight of the night. This was a 3-star match. 3.5 stars. If it wasn't for the ending, this could have gone higher, and it was on the verge. Because, guys, Alexa turned and went into Fiend mode, and you saw the offense, any offense Asuka tried to do, Alexa was blocking it. She tried to go for that Asuka lock, and Alexa somehow broke out of that move, got the mandible claw, and it looked like she was on her way to the title. And then Orton just showed up, and once you saw that silhouette, you knew. I was like, how's he gonna do this? How is he gonna do this? And for the, I don't know how many times, but Alexa, you are one of a very few women that can say that you just been RKO'd by Randy Orton. Stacy was the first. Nia in the Royal Rumble, and we all remember that epic moment. Everybody popped for that RKO. And now Alexa Bliss just got RKO'd by the Viper, the Apex Predator, the Legend Killer. He just killed the legend of the Fiend Goddess, Alexa Bliss, right in the center of the ring. She asked to be burned. She got burned in the worst possible way here tonight. Orton denies her the Raw Women's title. Florio, it's yours.
Yeah, and not much more to say on that. So let's um, let's quickly get into our overall thoughts on this. Like we said, this was not the best show, but then again, what were you expecting? Um, Monday Night Raw has been nothing short of a dumpster fire, and I mean, it was almost as bad as what we saw this past Friday night on SmackDown. I mean, that was horrible, but this was just as bad. But we did have a couple of good matches here and there, and everything else. So was that actually a decent enough Raw, which in comparison to everything else is still subpar? I feel like the promos for the most part didn't overstay their welcome. They were pretty direct and with much less filler. Some of the booking decisions, like the Gauntlet match, were questionable, but they always are. Edge's announcement, while anticlimactic, probably did more to drive up interest in Sunday's event than anything else on the night, including the McIntyre Goldberg segment. After Sunday, we should have a much more clear direction of the booking. So, we'll try again next week to see if WWE can build from this in Sunday or not. So, it was an in the middle show. This was probably about a 5 or so. So, not the best go home show, but definitely not the worst. So, that's all I can say. So, MF, a quick thought from you. Overall thought.
Yeah, my overall thought is, like you said, Florio, it wasn't the best show. It was just as much of a dumpster fire like last week was. But the thing is that at least they're making an effort to go into Rumble. You got Randy Orton, you got Alexa Bliss, you got possibly The Fiend coming back, you got Edge coming back. So you got a lot of storylines that you can work with. And this year, WrestleMania is a little longer. The road to WrestleMania is a little longer. It's going to be elongated by at least a couple of weeks. Normally it would have been, I think, at the end of March. Now it's set for mid-April, April 10 and 11. So you get an extra couple of weeks of build for WrestleMania, which is good. So you just got to work off that. And right now, we're just going to have to wait and see how this plays out. But yeah, you're absolutely right. This was definitely a subpar WrestleMania Monday Night Raw. I can give this maybe three to four. So Michael Bullock, it's yours.
Yeah, 3 to 4 for me as well. So yeah, nothing more to write home about. So Florio, I just give it to you.
All right, we'll do a quick Tony's take here. Impact Wrestling from last week, coming off the Hard to Kill pay-per-view. We had Eric Young squaring off against Rhino. Eric Young wins the match. I don't have a time of the fall. 2-star match. Solid match and never boring, putting over the new stable by taking out Rhino, which is hard to complain about. I like the briefness of it all, getting right to the point, fine open. Then there was a lot of promo stuff and everything else. James Storm shows up. And then, of course, with Chris Sabin and the Good Brothers, and they got interrupted by Matt Hardy and the Private Party from AEW, and business picked up there, and it led into a huge tag team main event, which we'll get into later. It was insanely random. I was 80% James Storm was going to come out to help Sabin, but I can't say Matt Hardy was in the books, nor Private Party. It was so cool, though, and you really can't complain at this moment. I could see the AEW inclusion getting old at some point, but I'm a sucker for random surprise appearances, and this was definitely welcome. Kimberly and Susan against Jordynne Grace and Jazz. Kimberly and Susan get the win. 2.25 stars. Solid, but the finish was flat. Gave Jazz a pinfall loss, which I suspect will lead to a Jordynne Grace heel turn. Jordynne and Kimber look particularly good there. Other stuff, and then Brian Myers against Falaba. Brian Myers wins the match. 2.75 stars. Solid little match. I enjoyed the storytelling. One of the stronger Myers matches, putting over his smarts, and he has never wowed me, but he does seem to be improving in his role and is a genuine heel. And then the big main event, where the winning team will challenge the Good Brothers for the Impact World Tag Team Championships. Chris Sabin and James Storm against the Private Party from AEW. And Private Party wins the match. 3.25 stars, fight of the night. Featured great tag team wrestling as you would expect. Private Party worked well with Impact style, and seeing them work against major names of Impact TNA history was neat. Jerry Lynn being on Impact TV was certainly welcome, and his involvement spiced things up a bit more. Good eventful match there. 8 out of 10, great show, very high effort, every segment being important, featuring the shocking returns of Big Money Matt Hardy and James Storm, the Impact debut of Private Party. Wrestling could have been better, especially early on, but a strong tag team main event lifted the overall quality. And the show was a breath of fresh air as Impact was feeling a bit lifeless at times, despite putting on quality shows. The subtle crowd noise, new commentary team of Matt Striker and D'Lo Brown, and unpredictability created a sense of importance, and that reflected in the show's atmosphere. So yeah, 8 out of 10, very good show, to say the very least. So quickly get into the 205 Live from this past week. Yeah, historic. Because we had a women's match on the show from the Dusty Classic. Gigi Dolan and Cora Jade against Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell. Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell won the match 5 minutes and 56 seconds. Very simple match with predictable but right winners advancing. Fine match as it played the tag team formula, kept it short. Ending seemed a little off, but they accomplished what they needed. Dolan and Jade got a little shine, and LeRae and Hartwell moved on to the next round, 1 3/4 star. Listen to this matchup. Tony Nese and Arya Daivari against Timothy Thatcher and Tommaso Ciampa. Yes, you heard that right. After those two, we know what they did in the fight pit last Wednesday night on NXT. And they actually won the match. Ciampa and Thatcher win the match, 8 minutes and 16 seconds. I was hoping for a little more, but they crammed in as much as they could in the 8 minutes they were given. The 205 Live fodder has been eliminated for the tournament, so I suspect we don't see any more matches from the men's tournament on this show. Hard-hitting and fun sprint with some good old-school tag action. Ciampa and Thatcher winning didn't come as a shock either. Solid 3 stars. 6.5 out of 10. Solid show, but it seemed rushed for whatever reason. I was expecting a little more from the main event, and the women's match was about what I was expecting, considering the show only usually runs about half an hour or so. As always, though, this show was an easy watch and delivers solid in-ring action, which is all you need sometimes. So 6.5 out of 10. So that will put the bow on this edition of Ridiculously Raw. We want to thank you all so very much for tuning in. We'll be back with you Wednesday night for Mayhem. MF will have it over on Braves Fan 95, AEW Dynamite, NXT. And then Thursday, Strictly Sports. We got to open with some very sad news. Hank Aaron passing away this past week. We're going to pay our respects to him. We have another Major League Baseball hot stove story. Kiki Hernandez from the world champion Dodgers. He's leaving them and has signed with the Boston Red Sox. We will address that. And MF, I'm blanking a bit. What else did we have on the docket for Thursday night? I know we have the big main event, which was the conference championship recaps and our early thoughts on the Super Bowl. Was there anything else that we were going to get into? I kind of blanked on it.
I think it was that. I'm trying to think. Oh, the Major League Baseball Hall of Fame announcements.
Yes, Hall of Fame class. Yeah, I forgot about that. Yep. Was there anything else?
There was that. There actually was just a trade that happened between the Yankees and the Red Sox that we need to get into.
Oh yeah, the Ottavino trade.
The Ottavino trade. We'll get into that. Okay. Yeah, Kiki Hernandez going to the Red Sox. That. The Major League Baseball. The baseball announcement of the fact that they're gonna do the Hall of Fame the Hall of Fame announcements. There also was an announcement that was made today by the Major League Baseball union that the players union that they're not gonna do the universal DH and the playoff format. They want to keep it traditional. I think we should address that. And then, like you said, the main event will be the AFC and NFC championship game recaps, and yeah, our first thoughts on the Super Bowl.
Kansas City Chiefs, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, don't you know?
Yeah.
So that's all there is to say on that. And I'm going to have a special farewell thank you message for my Buffalo Bills, because this is one grateful Bills fan for a season I'll never forget it.
Absolutely.
I will certainly not forget it anytime soon, and I'm going to have a very special parting word for that. So, and then Friday, of course, Cerebral Smack Talk, big show there. Friday Night SmackDown review, and then our preview of the 34th annual Royal Rumble. And then the recap Sunday night immediately following the pay-per-view. MF will have that as well. So, and then we do it all again next week. So that's it. So until Wednesday night for Mayhem, Anthony Florio here, signing off from my elite panel. Good old MF Michael Fletcher, the Phenom Michael Bullock, the Twisted Angel D. Woodson, and of course, always and forever, Derek Ferreira. You know the routine, everybody. Thumbs up. Talk to you later. Yeah. Door to Fortune 4 style. Bye for now, my friends. God bless. Be good to each other. Have a blessed couple of days. And until Wednesday night for Mayhem, you've been watching Ridiculously Raw right here on the Tone 25 on YouTube and StreamYard.com. And remember, no matter what anyone tells you, wrestling is indeed actually real beyond anything else. For everybody who's been a part of this one, for now, Anthony Florio, so long. Bye, everybody. Bye.